Welcome back to another session of Python. In this session, we are going to focus on object-oriented programming concept inheritance. Before going to the concept of inheritance, this chapter is briefly discussing all the concepts of object-oriented programming. But some of the constructor and destructors are all not discussed in this chapter. Those concepts are also related to object-oriented programming. By the way, object-oriented programming is having a lot of other advanced concepts also. If you have the idea of the fundamental key points, those things are not that much difficult to understand. I will cover the topic of constructor and destructor by means of programming example and theoretical understanding for you. Again, we will go back to the idea of classes and objects. Uh, I said when you define a class, it contains data member and member methods, functions and data. You are wrapping inside a class. Based on that one, you are creating an object. If you take any object in the world, you can classify into classes. And for that particular class, you can give example of object. It is exactly, I told you, it resembles with our real world. Resembles with our real world. Okay. Now take the class of birds. Bird is a class. Bird is a class. Bird is not an object. If you talk about parrot, yes, you are showing me what is this. Means yes, it is a parrot. It is an object. In the world, everything is object, right? Everything is object. So I can say that it is an object. But I'm saying that class of birds. It means that class of birds means there are some attributes, and that is attribute means characteristics are common for all the birds. Some actions are there, those objects of that particular class can do, they are also common. They are also common. So methods are nothing but actions, operations. It is performing some action. What about the variables? Variables are attributes. If I say member data, it is nothing but attribute of the object, attribute of the class. Okay. Now I'm creating a class of bird. I'm creating a class of bird. I can say color of the bird, weight of the bird. You know weight, 20 gram, 200 gram. Weight of the bird, fly of the bird. Bird can fly. If I say these three things, this is common to all the birds except penguin. Penguin is not flying. In general, exception is not taken. In general, all the classes have having class of bird is having these three things. We can come up with lot of attributes and a lot of actions. In these three things, first the color of the bird, weight of the bird is attribute, character of the bird. Flying is an action that the object can perform. That means the class of birds, if it is an actual object like parrot or hen or crow or eagle, it can perform an action called as fly. This is what we are translating into the approach of OOP programming. This is what we are translating into a OOP programming. Now again you take another example also. Now if I ask you, okay, class of bird is there. What is the object? You can create any object. Parrot is an object of class bird. Eagle is a object of class bird. Any bird that you find in the world is an object of class bird. So that bird class is common thing. The specific object is having its own data, its own color. For example, color class will define birds are having color, int color, string color, something we can define. But if you take parrot, color will be green. If you take eagle, it will be approximately brown. It will differ. Object to object, the data will differ. Flying, result will be always same. Always they are flying. All the birds are performing the same operation. Now I can say Based on the weight, hen, in our houses, hen is there. We are hens. Hen can fly little bit, maybe 2 or 3 meters up. But that is not the case with the pigeon. Pigeon can fly several meters high because it depends on the weight of the bird. So the operation is decided based on some attributes available with the clause. If I specify the pigeon object, I will be specifying 150 gram weight. Obviously, the speed of flying and the height of the flying will be different. Operation is different. Result is also different. But operation is called as common name, flying. But height and speed is different. Even eagle can fly, even it is touching the sky. That much height is going. Number two, take the hen. It may be 500 gram, 1 kilo, because we are preparing chicken and all. We know what is one hen is 1 kilo. 1 kilo bird is an object, its attribute. Because of that, the flying is what happens? It is not that much, yeah, high. Now, again, I am coming to another example. Please try to understand what we are talking about, or classes and objects. Be clear about that. If you are approaching the idea, everything, if you have to object oriented, means you have to orient your mind solving the problem in terms of objects. You have to think everything. If you are solving a problem, think everything like an object and try to approach the problem. And in the problem solution, everything will be divided into objects. For every object, you will create a common class. Any number of objects can be available based on one class. Now I'm saying take the class of car. Class of car. Car is not an object. It is a class. When I say ambassador or Toyota or premium, something if I say, it refers to a particular object. If there also a lot of attributes are there for the class of car. What is the brand name? Attribute. What is the color? Attribute. Whether it is diesel or petrol? Attribute. Uh, if you take model number of the car, attribute. Uniquely you can identify the car, chassis number and the engine number is there, attribute. But increasing the speed and decreasing the speed. Speed is an action. Speed is an action. Steering, you can move the left side, right side, straight, you can go back side. So what is it? Action. It is not a property of the car class. It is an action performed by the objects of class car. What about brake? Brake is also an action. It is not an attribute. It is an action. Yeah, how much you are giving pressure, that much it will be slowed down. The speed is coming down. So it is an action. So in a class in object-oriented programming, what is available? Nothing but attributes and actions. Actions are methods. Attributes are variables. Attributes are variable. If you pack together, that is called as object, class of object. Now what happens? Little bit the real world is applied further. Little bit real world is applied further to the objects and classes, where we introduce little bit more complexity, because real world problem cannot be solved merely using objects and classes with this. Okay, wrap up. That is called as data encapsulation. The concept of data encapsulation. Hide the data inside the class. Nobody can access everywhere. And some setter and getter method will be there. They are permitted to access that. That is the thing. Now, inheritance concept we will take now. Inheritance is a very important concept in OOP. Acquire the features of something. Acquiring means getting some features of something. It means reusability of code. Actually, if you think about, if you implement the concept of inheritance in programming, what is happening is the result is we are reusing the existing code. We are reusing the existing code. It is the capability of a class to drive the properties of another class and have already been created. Okay. So now what is inheritance? I can say the ability or capability of a class that can inherit, that can get, acquire properties of another class. Class A is available, you have created. You are planning to create B class. Now you decided that B class will have all the properties of A class also. This process, if you link the two classes, how can you link? By means of inheritance mechanism, you can link. This is nothing but biological inheritance. Parent is there, child is acquiring the properties from their mother and father. Not only mother and father might have some parents. They have acquired from them. That property will also may come. For some time, what they will say, oh, you walk like your grandfather. What do you mean? Grandfather has some character, father acquired character has passed on to child, grandchild. So how long it will go, how much you want you can, because generations are cannot be controlled. That many connection you can do in object-oriented programming. It is possible. Some you have to remember what is the use of inheritance concept in object-oriented programming. Means once the code is written, you don't need to rewrite the code, reuse the code. Who is helping this? Inheritance is helping. Now, in this PDF that I have shared, something they are explaining you. Vehicle is a class, that is, I took the car example. Car itself is a child class of vehicle class. Child class of vehicle class. The top level is vehicle. Vehicle can be two-wheeler, car, bus, aeroplane, train, everything is vehicle. Vehicle is a class that is further divided subclasses: automobiles, pulled vehicles, driven by men. Vehicles is the base class and automobiles, pulled vehicles are called subclasses. How do we call? Parent, child. In our real life, what we will say? Parent, child. Here we will not say parent, child. We will say this is the base class, this is subclass. Sometime what will happen? They will use the parent class word, child class word also. It's okay, but we will not use the biological word. Here we will use base class, subclass. Sometimes subclass is also called as a derived class. Why? It is driving its property from somebody else. So we say that it is a derived class. Truck and cars are subclasses of the class automobile. Now take the truck and scooter. It is automobile category. So truck and scooter are two classes. Truck can be having Ashok Leyland, that is object. We are not coming to object. Now just we are talking about classes. When we create the object based on the class, the object is coming. Here only we are talking about classes, designing the classes. You have to separate the idea of classes and objects. Now I can say truck is a subclass of automobile. In turn, automobile is a subclass of vehicle. So in biological term, I can say truck is a grandchild of vehicles. Grandchild of vehicles. Similarly, auto rickshaw, pulled cart, you know, the bullet cart or the pulling carts and all that. Yeah, these are all the some example of real life examples. Inheritance generally involves acquiring the features of a predecessor. Father and mother is predecessor. Children are successor. Children are successor. With the help of inheritance, we can inherit a class from another class. If class A is inherited from another B class, then class A can use all the features, variables and methods of class B. Please try to understand this idea. Class A is available. You are creating class B. Class A is having its own variables and methods. When you say that B is a child class of A, it means that whatever the code you have written for class A is available to access where? Inside class B. Inside class B. It means that we say that the code of the class A has been reused without copy pasting. Copy pasting is not the right technique. Copy pasting is, you can say, reusable. In new modern technology, I'm not talking about copy pasting here. Without disturbing the code, the old code will be as it is. I need a programmatic technological way where I can reuse the code. That is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the copy pasting mechanism. Say, for example, immediately what will come to my mind? Copy, why class A is there? Okay, copy the methods and paste into B. Job done. Think about. A system has been Android software has been designed. Android software has been designed for 2015 mobile, something manufactured. That time Android was 5, for example. They created some classes and objects based on that one. The software is running. They want to improve that. They want to improve some feature. What they can do, altogether copy paste, modify everything. They cannot do like that. They cannot disturb the old code because that code has to run in the old system. In the new system, enhance the features. In the new system, what you will do is Android 10, for example, in 2020 you have created, where you will create some new classes that will inherit all the properties of the old class plus some additional stuff. That is updated version. That is called as updated version. This is what I am talking about, reusability of code. Reusability of code. Okay. Now, how do we what is the syntax to use like that? Class, as usual, class name will be there, subclass name. Anything can be, simply here, subclass name means what it means, anything. Like parent name, it can be a name. But in bracket, you have to mention the name of the parent class. In bracket, what you have to mention? For example, vehicle. If you say, if automobile is the subclass, automatically it means that you have reusing the parent class in the child class. Automatically the subclass is the child class of the parent class. Now whatever available in the parent class will be reused in the child class. As usual, class value and all these things will be available. Now you see the example that they have given. Class person object. What is that object? Define get name, self name equal to name. Define, there is no space there. Def get, actually typographical error. Def get details self, return the string containing the name of the person, return self name. But this is a person, but that person is used in the class student. This is used in the student. Now you see, def fill details, again student. Now already we created, right? Fill detail, get details. Define a class called as class teacher person. Teacher is a person, right? Yeah. So teacher will have all the characteristics of a person. Now teacher is a class that inherits all the properties of the person class. It is having fill details, person get name, self branch, get details. Now person 1, if you create person 1 object will be created. If you say another object in the name of a student, it will be created. If you create teacher object, it will be created. Now what you have to understand is how the methods are available from the another class. inside using teacher class, using the teacher class, field details is accessed. Is there any field details is available? Now, let me, instead of giving you this example confusing, first I will give you a very simple example. Okay. Now, for that one, I will start typing the code. Now, Somashekar, Gautami, so far, are you able to follow what we are discussing here? Okay. Now, I'm moving on to type A. This is the concept of OOP concept, inheritance. In inheritance. Now, what I'm going to do is, first I will create a class person. This is a person class. I don't give anything to this one. Person class can have a function called as field detail. Field details. What is this field details? Person may, what is the person class can have? In general, person means human being. What can be? Gender can be available. Gender equal to, can I give like this? I can give non value, or can I give empty string? Yes, yes. But if I say, if you create an object, you have to supply the details. So what we can do, we can give parameters here. Okay, name, gender. Gender will come to gender, name will come to name. But this name and this gender is not general, it belongs to self. It means it belongs to object. It is not accessible from outside. Yeah. Now this is fill the data in the person. Now I am creating another, simply get details. Get details self. I don't need to pass anything. Just what I'm going to do is print name, self name, print gender, self gender. I want to complete the first class here. Let me put it one line here so that you can easily understand. One class is defined here. Okay. Now I want to create a class. For example, they are creating one teacher class. Okay. Teacher class is going to inherit everything about person. There is a function called as now I'm doing this field detail will override. So I will give some different name here. Okay, teacher detail, self, for example, qualification, experience. Two items I'm giving. Quali, now because it is going to be object value, qualification equal to the supplied qualification value will be stored. Self dot, in this object there will be a different value called as experience, that is saved with the supplied experience value. Now both are not same. Yes or no? Spelling mistakes are there. I'm typing fast. You see here experience is missing. It is not, if I type uniform, spellings are not a problem, right? uh, get, for example, get teacher. I'm not doing anything. Now uh, print self qualification, right? Qualification, self qualification, print experience, experience, self experience. These two questions are over. Okay. Did I do anything other than this? Only I have told that yesterday and today what is the difference is one bracket is available for the teacher class where I have mentioned the name of another class. Where I have mentioned the name of another class. Now you have to understand the something called as a driver code. How to understand the driver code. Whatever the driver code you are writing, there the code is actually executed. Now I can say T1 equal to T1 equal to teacher. T1 equal to teacher. Now T1, say for example, fill details, name equal to XXX, YYY, gender equal to female, something like this. I am supplying the value. T1 equal to teacher details. After that, what I can do? Teacher details, qualification, for example, MA, experience, because it is going to be number, something 12 years experience. After that, using the T1, I want to get the details. T1 get teacher. Now the driver code has been written. Got it? Now I will compile this one. If there is any error, we will fix the error. There is no error. Now are you getting the name of the person, gender of the person, then qualification, experience? But what you have to observe here is the gender and name of the person is not available in the teacher class. Number two, printing the facility is also not available in the teacher class. Whatever T1 dot means, whatever the function you are using, it should be available inside the teacher class. That fill details available in the teacher class? No. Available? Where is it available? The method fill details is available where? In person it is available. Teacher detail, where is it available? In teacher class. Uh, get details, where is it available? Person class. So I can say that teacher class is having its own methods called as teacher details and a get teacher, but it has inherited the methods, some properties from the person class, fill details and get details. Because of that one, the gender and all these things are available. Now little bit I will modify. I will not use this get details. I will not use this get details. I will for your later you can understand why I have mocked this one as, because I'm copy pasting in WhatsApp, right? Yeah. Now little bit I'm adding here. Print name, self name, print gender, self gender. Now I'm running. I'm getting the same result. Here also you have to say that I didn't call printing function from the person class, but the variable name gender is not available in the teacher class, but it is accessible from another class. That you have to think each class as a a boundary in the memory. Nobody can enter. How somebody can enter? If they have the permission of inheritance. If they have the permission of inheritance. Now this one is the concept called as inheritance concept. This is something one-to-one inheritance. One to one. One class is inheriting another class. How? What are the forms of inheritance you can go? One-to-one, one-to-many, many hierarchical is possible, multi-level is possible, multiple inheritance possible. One is inheriting to class A is inheriting B, B to C, C to D, multi-level, multiple also possible. Multiple inheritance is also one single class, many classes are inheriting. That form is also possible. So whatever the structure is required for you, you will be implementing that type of a inheritance structure. Now, before going to the structures, let me copy paste this code. In your textbook itself, whatever I have shared with you, this is called as multiple inheritance. There are two classes are there. In Somashekar and Gautami also 8.7.1 you can see in your PDF. There are two classes are there, A, B. The at a time C can get all the properties of A and B and it will be available to C. Such a mechanism is called as multiple inheritance. The name is called as multiple inheritance. For example, they have one example: water animals, fish, octopus, etc. Land animals, tigers, lions, etc. Amphibian, frog, crocodiles, etc. What is it means? Frog, crocodiles, fish, octopus, only it lives in water. The life space is water. What about tiger, lion? Only it can live in land. It cannot live in water. What about frog and crocodile? It can live in both. It will be sometime living in land or it can go and live in water. If this is the case, you don't need to mix up everything about A. It means that A is water type of animal, B is land animal, C is mixture of land and water. What are all the things available for a water living animal and land living animal? It will be available with the amphibian animals or creatures. Now you see class A, class B, how to create a multi-level, multiple inheritance. This is the mechanism. Just you have to put in the bracket A comma B. A comma B. How many are there? In our example, only two is available. Multiple inheritance can have more than two also. Now you see method of A, B. Now A, B, C. C is not having pos means there is no code for class. If you use in Python pos keyword, it means that it does this is required, pos is required. You cannot leave the name of the header hanging. No, it is not permitted. You have to give the keyword what? Pos. Pos means the code maybe I will add in future, but as of now it is empty. As of now, empty. To say that you have to make pos. Now you see, y is an object based on C class. Y is an object based on C class. Now, if I call b dot x y, method of b output is coming. B dot x of y. I am supplying what? I am supplying b class. Class B is available, right? That class x method I am calling. I am supplying what? Y. It means that here in this example you can understand self is a variable that receives the address of the object. Self is a variable, it receives the address of the object. Now, in a class, you are commonly saying that two methods are there. Two methods are there. Add the two numbers. Which object two numbers you have to add? Tell the address. That's why whenever you say x dot fill details means you don't need to mention the address, because dot before dot the name of the object is available. Automatically the Python will take the address and it will pass to the function. But if you see the code, if you see the code, how many parameters are there in the teacher's detail? Three is there. But how many you are passing? Two. One first parameter automatically passed. That is address of T1. That is address of T1. If you create another object T2, T2 equal to teacher class. Now it is altogether a different address. So if you call that T2.teacher details, what will happen? T2's address will be supplied. So the T2 data will be used for calculation. So also you have to understand self is the address of the object. Point number two, you have to understand data can have its own copy for each object. Based on a class inside the memory I'm talking about. How is the memory mapping? How is the memory representation inside? Based on a class, you can create 10 objects, 100 objects you can create. Only data for each object is maintained separately. Okay, T1, this data. T2, these are all the data member. Different values are there. But for all the objects, they belongs to a particular class. Code will be only one copy. Why? It is not required to maintain multiple copies. Just you supply the address and the data, automatically it will take the appropriate calculation. It knows what it has to do. Got it now? Now you got it, the idea, no? Yes. What I'm talking, a class when it is created in the form of an object, instantiation of a class, the data members are maintained separate copy for each object of a particular class, but the code that is performing some action called as methods is not having multiple copies. Only one copy will be loaded into the memory. Because operation is same, only data will change. So data has to be different copy has to be maintained in the memory. Data don't need to be maintained in multiple copies. Operation is same. Operation is same. Say if you don't understand, simply for in this example itself, I'm adding a uh, I'm adding a b, add a b. Okay, self a comma b. Return means it will calculate and it will return the value a plus b. A plus, it will return the addition. Now before that, fill AB is required. Yes or no? Self A comma B. If you are giving here, AB is not required here because we are supplying. We are supplying. Yeah, fill data. Usually the method should be like this. A equal to A, self B equal to. Now what I am going to do, first T1 fill A, B 10 comma 20. I did it. After that, T2 dot fill A B 50 comma 100. Now T1 add add A B. T2 add A B. Because it is returning some value, this method is returning some value. That value I can print. Yes or no? This value I can print. When the method inside the print method is executed, method inside a method, this is First, the inside method will be executed, which is the innermost that will be executed. After that, gradually it will come out based on the parenthesis. Innermost parenthesis belongs to whom? Innermost parenthesis belongs to add AB. So that will be executed. Then the outermost parenthesis is print. It belongs to print function. Print will be executed. So in this structure, add AB will be executed first, then the print will be executed. As soon as the add AB is executed, return value is kept inside the print function. Print function job is to display the value on the screen. That is the technique we are doing here. Now T2. I am getting name is not defined. Very what is the wrong thing? A B. Is it in teacher only, na? Yeah, teacher only. No, no. What is the error? Oh, sorry, sorry. Self is missing. You see, self is missing. If I have to access the value of a object, I have to specify the self word. Inside the object, inside the class, you cannot use simply the name of the variable. Are you getting? Now the explanation is when you create a T1 fill AB, T1 objects AB variable is filled with 10, 20. When you create a T2, the T2 variable is having another AB.